Quite simply, Arne Slot's start to his Premier League managerial career has blown my mind. It is one of the most efficient and devastating starts to a Premier League job that the league has ever seen. He is getting everything right. But before we go any further discussing Arne Slot, I think it's important that we acknowledge the contribution and talent of Michael Edwards. Appointing the right person off the back of the Klopp era was so important. We have witnessed mistakes from Arsenal, mistakes from Manchester United when appointing the successor to a long-term successful manager. But Liverpool have learnt from those errors. And it really does feel like Liverpool have appointed the perfect person at the perfect time. Because Slot feels so perfectly suited to Liverpool. He follows so perfectly in the footsteps of Jurgen Klopp. The baton has been passed on perfectly. He has picked up exactly where Klopp left off. In every aspect, the transition feels seamless. I even heard Slot moaning about 12:30 kickoffs the other day. There really is continuity between the two managers. And the trend of continuity continued in something very important that we saw the other day. At Anfield the other day when Liverpool beat us, Arne Slot revealed something telling about his character. Emotion. Part of the reason that Jurgen Klopp was so loved at Anfield was because of his vivacious displays of emotion, wearing his heart on his sleeve. It's just so relatable. As football fans, we will always warm to somebody who feels like one of us. And Jurgen Klopp felt so at home at Anfield because he was a fan. He behaved like a fan. Okay, he was a genius in the dugout, but he would have been just at home on row 11 of the Kop as he was in a manager's dugout. And that connection, the energy, the conduit between being a manager and being a fan is emotion and love. And Slot's emotional meltdown towards the end of the game against Chelsea does suggest that he is perfect for the Anfield job, conducting the orchestra, having an impact on the volume of the stadium from the dugout. It's just so inspiring for a fan to see a manager going through the same torment, going through the same anguish that we are feeling in the stands. The manager pulling the same facial expression, having the same tantrum that is happening on all four stands of the stadium. I think it's why I loved Antonio Conte so much. When Conte came to Chelsea in his first game at Stamford Bridge, Diego Costa scored a last-minute winner against West Ham United on the Monday night. I was in a Matthew Harding lower that day. Everybody around gate 16 where I used to sit went potty. But guess what? So did Conte. Conte was swinging off the dugout. He dived headfirst into the family enclosure in the East Stand. And from that minute, he had my backing. From that second, I adored him. And in that moment, when Slot went wild, I think Liverpool fans realised this guy gets it. His team were winning the game. You know, Núñez got fouled by Vega in a fairly innocuous way, but Slot was so incensed by what he saw. He did not know what to do. He was completely flummoxed at how to conduct himself. He spun around, he pounded the ground, he sort of went as if he was going to pull his hair out. But in that little moment, Liverpool fans realised it matters to Slot. And I think against us on the weekend, it's the most animated that I've ever seen Slot, which is probably an indicator that he's feeling very confident, probably an indicator that his confidence is growing, and probably an indicator that he is feeling at home at Anfield. And he dealt with it well. You know, he got booked earlier in the game and I liked his response. He said he deserved it. His quote was, "I deserved it." Again, it's such a relatable way to behave. And if you think about the job that Arne Slot had to do when he came into Liverpool, it was enormous. The most popular manager that Liverpool have ever had in the Premier League era leaves of his own accord. It's such a difficult act to follow. 99% of the time when a new manager comes in, fans are feeling quite refreshed. Most managers come into a team that has been failing. The previous manager has been given the tin tack. The reason that most managers are given the tin tack is because their team stops performing as people would like. Therefore, a new manager can often feel refreshing, often feel like a breath of fresh air. Realistically, nobody wanted Slot. Everybody adored Jurgen Klopp at Anfield. You could almost describe going into a job with those conditions as the impossible job. How can you possibly replace Jurgen Klopp when Jurgen Klopp is still at his peak? And not only does he have to replace him and build a rapport with the fans, but he has to put his own stamp on the team. He has to convince these world-class players who have been performing at a world-class level that the previous manager's ideals weren't necessarily correct, and now you need to buy into mine. You know, the shadow of Jurgen Klopp looms large, but everything that Arne Slot has done feels like it is working. He has, however, got some massive decisions coming up. You know, Diogo Jota went off, didn't he, against us? So does he stick with Núñez? Does he stick with Núñez's physicality? Or does he maybe utilise Cody Gakpo in a different way? Gakpo has been on fire this season. So potentially, Gakpo could move central? I don't know. But Slot has to get it right. Equally, Curtis Jones. Jones is undroppable. Simple as that. Sensational performance. Full of athleticism, hungry, determined, aggressive, scored the winner, defended valiantly. It was a perfect midfield performance against, ironically, a midfield that could have been lining up for Liverpool. You know, it doesn't feel long ago, does it, that Romeo Lavia, Moises Caicedo nearly ended up at Liverpool. But Curtis Jones' performance that day was huge. The problem, however, for Arne Slot is, if Jones starts, who does he drop? Now, as fans, we can go, Jones has to start. Jones is undroppable. Jones was sensational against Chelsea, therefore he has to play. But for a manager, it's tricky, isn't it? If he does keep his place in the side, who does he replace? Ultimately, Szoboszlai, McAllister or Gravenberch is going to have to be dropped. And that's not easy for a manager either. But again, you back Slot to get it right. Trent Alexander-Arnold is actually another problem for Arne Slot. But again, it feels like he's handled this perfectly when speaking to the press. When it was suggested to Slot that maybe Trent Alexander-Arnold's focus, his concentration, his dedication could be affected by the Real Madrid links, Slot's answer was perfect. I think you underestimate our players. He basically said top players are linked with top clubs on a daily basis. And it actually didn't look like Slot was at all bothered about the threat of Alexander-Arnold going to Madrid. You know, we know what Madrid are like. We know that Real Madrid love to sign good players on a free. Mbappe, Rudiger, Alaba even. There are many examples. And Danny Carvajal's injury almost opens the door for the pursuit of Trent Alexander-Arnold to become serious and sustained. But Slot wasn't bothered and he just batted it away. He just spoke about how strong Trent Alexander-Arnold is mentally and suggests that playing for Liverpool is a huge honour. The way Slot handled it, it almost felt like case closed. Another point that we have to focus on and give Arne Slot a huge amount of credit is what happened in the summer. Liverpool barely spent a penny and the jewel in the crown of their transfer strategy, Zubimendi, didn't work out. You know, Martin Zubimendi's decision to back out of a move to Merseyside and stay at Real Sociedad could have been curtains for Slot's plans in the middle. But instead of moaning or whining or even trying to sign a B-Tech version of Zubimendi himself, what did he do? He used the tools that were available to him. The tool in this circumstance, Ryan Gravenberch. You know, Slot spoke to Ryan Gravenberch in the summer about the potential of playing as an 8, but also sounded him out about the potential of playing as a 6. Now, to be totally frank with you, I didn't think this would work. You know, when Ryan Gravenberch was signed from Bayern Munich for what, 35 million quid, I didn't think it was particularly inspiring. Then, I think it's fair to say Ryan Gravenberch was pretty much on the periphery last season. At no point did I think it was possible that Gravenberch could become the key member of the engine room for Liverpool. But Slot saw it. And his numbers are unreal. Ryan Gravenberch has made more recoveries and more interceptions than any of his teammates. He completes 90% of the passes that he attempts, and he is winning 60% of his duels. We are also beyond the myth that Arne Slot's team haven't beaten anybody. Now, this is a theory that I've been batting away for ages. I've maintained that Slot going to Old Trafford in his 3rd game as Liverpool manager and winning in the way that they did was hugely convincing. And I don't care about who Manchester United are. I don't care about the Manchester United team, and I don't care what you think about Erik ten Hag. For Liverpool to go to Old Trafford and win, for Arne Slot to go to Old Trafford and win against Erik ten Hag, his compatriot, somebody who's been in the job for 3 years longer, in what was Slot's 3rd game, it was significant. Come on. Liverpool do not face a harder away game. There is a metric that makes Liverpool travelling to Old Trafford Liverpool's hardest game of the season. Now, bear with me. I know that you'll be saying, go into the Emirates, go into the Etihad. They will be harder games for Liverpool. But on some level, I believe Old Trafford is Liverpool's hardest game. Liverpool fans who travel will never be less welcomed at any stadium than when they go to Old Trafford. Liverpool players will never be given a harder ride than when they go to Old Trafford. The home supporter at Old Trafford will never be more desperate to see their team win than they feel in that fixture. And if there is one game that it is essential that Manchester United players and manager turn it on for, it is welcoming Liverpool. So for Liverpool to go there and win, huge. So all this, they haven't played anyone. It was nonsense. But it was a theory that I think most people agreed with. I disagree, but I do feel like most people actually put that theory forward. Well, now they've beaten us as well as going to the San Siro and winning from behind. Like, basically, that theory is over. Liverpool are now top of the league. And 8 games into the season, the Premier League is starting to take shape. We are no longer at a stage where you can just dismiss the Premier League table. But the biggest story about Liverpool this season in the league is possibly not the points tally that they have managed to accrue. When you look at the table, rather than looking at the points tally, look at the goals conceded column. Now, that is where Liverpool shine. 3. They have conceded 3 goals in 8 games. Just for context, Manchester City in 8 games have conceded 9. Manchester City are conceding goals at 3 times the rate of Liverpool. You know the old adage? Goals win games, defences win. titles. And Liverpool being so stingy, so miserly at the back is so troubling for anyone else who wants to win the league. Liverpool and Slot have a big few weeks coming up. We touched on them. Big decisions to make and big games where they have to go out and win. But he is doing so well. He is leaving his own imprint on the team and he isn't trying to imitate Jurgen Klopp at all. It's chaotic when necessary, but it's also controlled when necessary. And that is why it is time to acknowledge that Liverpool are totally capable of winning the league, and Arne Slot is looking like the perfect man for the job. Michael Edwards really does need to take a bow. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I really do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please do me the honour of clicking subscribe. It would be my honour to welcome you into this community. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Have a wonderful day.